Hi there, and welcome to Spotlight Business with me, Philip Nanfuri. The channel is MX24. We'll also be streaming live on our social media handles, Facebook, MX24GH, on Twitter, MX24GH, and on our YouTube page, MX24GH also. I want to say a very big thank you for your company this fine Thursday evening. And our subject for tonight is the savings and loans sector. We'll be discussing that with Tweneboah Kodua Boakye. He's Executive Secretary of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies, GHASALC, or GHASALC for short. But before we begin our discussion, I want to put some things into perspective. In the banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions sector that is regulated by the Bank of Ghana, what we call the SDIs, or the specialized deposit-taking institutions, are categorized into four. Now, out of these, we have the savings and loans sector, we have the finance houses, we have the microfinance companies, and then we have the rural and community banks. So within the specialized deposit-taking institutions sector or subsector, if you hear the governor of the Bank of Ghana or any of his deputies talking about SDIs, they are specialized deposit-taking institutions. And I mentioned the four. That's the savings and loans, the finance houses, the microfinance companies, and the rural and community banks. They make up the SDI. And they are all under the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions Act 2016, that's Act 930. But tonight we'll be focusing on the savings and loan sector, and specifically last year on August 16th, that's 2019, the Bank of Ghana revoked the licenses of some of these savings and loans institutions, specifically 15 of them. As we speak, there are 25 operating in the system, and we want to find out how things have panned out in that area. We've discussed the banking sector a lot, but what about the savings and loans? They are what we describe as the missing middle. They fit in between the banks and the lower tier financial institutions, such as your SUSU or lending groups or even your microcredit companies. They are the ones who bridge the gap between the high income and the low income. We want to find out what's going on in the missing middle. And if you look in academic literature or financial literature, you find the definition, the missing middle there. And to do that with us, we have the Executive Secretary of the Association of Savings and Loans Companies. His name is Tweneboah Kodua Boakye. So before we delve into our discussion, there was a program that was held on Tuesday between the Bank of Ghana and all of these SDIs, their association bodies, and they discussed a lot in there. He will give us an update on where the savings and loan sector is today. But before that, I want us to listen to the second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Madam Elsie Ado-Awagye, on what exactly she had to say concerning the SNL update at this program.
In the meanwhile, government has had to step in to provide financial relief for the depositors and employees of these failed institutions, so that they would not have to wait for years to see if perchance any value might be realized out of the remaining assets that they left, and if they would get paid at all. Out of the 6.5 billion cedis in deposit claims validated by the receiver of the failed SDIs, an amount of 6.39 billion has been paid in cash so far to these depositors, leaving a balance of 110 million cedis being claims of related parties of the failed institutions. And these were the shareholders, directors, and affiliates of the defunct institutions, who themselves were very involved in the management and control of these institutions. So they have to wait at the end of the queue. If any assets are realized, they would be paid to the extent that they are owed these amounts by the defunct institutions. The cleanup of the SDI sector was necessary. First of all, the laws under which we regulate them demands, as a matter of law, that we close them down when they become insolvent and are unable to pay their depositors.
So that was the second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Madam Elsie Ado-Awagye. And I'm going to cut straight to my guest and say a big thank you to him for joining us. It's been a while since we've interacted in such a setting. TK, thank you for joining us this fine evening.
Thank you very much.
So let's just jump straight into the conversation. Last year in August, you had some of your members have their licenses revoked, 15 of them. From your program, I gather there are 25 of you as we speak. But give us a snapshot of the broad picture of where the savings and loan sector is. Your assets, the loans you've been churning out, your deposits base, your clientele. Has it dipped? Is it going up? Is it flat? And the relationship with the receiver. Put everything in a nutshell for us.
Thank you very much, and good evening once again, and good evening to your viewers. I think you have a good place.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm happy you like it.
Yeah, it's good and well done.
Thank you.
Yes, since last year, August 2019, that the central bank finalized this cleanup exercise as announced on the 16th of August. So if you look at the data, you will realize that as of June 2019, we had about almost 40 SNLs. And these 40 SNLs, total asset was around 8.5 billion. And we were having clientele in excess of maybe about 4 or 5 million. And then you had employees, about 12,500. And then we were covering more than 1,000 outlets. And when you look at from the June 2019, before the cleanup, to the December 2019, after the cleanup, you realize that the 25 that was left, our total assets, which was expected that there had to be a reduction because about 15 out of 25 had their license revoked, and the total asset came down to around 4.5 billion.
Okay.
When you look at from December 2019, 4.56 billion to June 2020, we so have about 4.6 billion, which means that from December 2019 to date, there's also been an inch.
Okay.
Which also, if you look at the deposit side, the deposits as of December was around 2.2 billion. As at June, it's gone up to around 2.3 billion.
Okay. So marginal increases.
Exactly. So when you look at these things, then you realize that there's been some kind of pick up. We were expecting a bigger pickup, but for COVID. And of course, COVID came at a time when there were a lot of recoveries and all these things.
True.
Yes. And so when you look at the industry going forward, you see more prospects, you see more resilience, you see more growth, and you see that players are becoming stronger and stronger day in and day out.
Okay. And on the issue of the receivership process, now what we understand is that depositors have been made whole by the government intervention. I think what the figure was 6.5 billion, but out of that, 6.39 has been given to the depositors. Is that right or wrong?
When people ask me this question, the reality is that I'm not the one
doing it,
controlling the data.
But maybe you may have some insights into it.
The insight we have is what they have and what they have told us.
So as we speak, have your members been made whole or not? The savings and loans members.
If you look at it, there are two sides to it. The 25 savings and loan companies who were also customers. And then you have the customers of the defunct institutions.
Okay.
My members as the 25, not even all of them had funds locked up.
Okay.
But those that had their funds locked up, we are aware that they've been receiving their monies.
Okay.
I've had the opportunity to see one of them that said that he's received all the principal investment and all that. It's left with some interest components, and so these are reconciliation issues that the receiver has actually written to the institution that they are actually looking into the issue and then pay out where necessary. So it's about the validation and this reconciliation issues. On the side of the customers, because I don't have all the database of the customers, and we've had the calls to hear from a number of them say we have received our money.
Okay.
But when you open your phone line, somebody somewhere may call and say, I've not received the money.
Okay.
And I have seen one reason. There may be other reasons, but I've realized that somebody, just today, someone called me last 2 weeks and I think last week, complained that her cousin had not received the money and he knows that what do we do and all that. And I told them that, okay, go to the receiver's office, give the details, and let's see what happens.
What happens?
When they went, they said the details of this person is in their system.
Okay.
And that they know that the person is supposed to receive. So if the person has not received, it's possible he has not gotten the text message.
Okay.
And so the person should wait to receive the text message with the account details.
Okay.
So such a person, you will see it on the face value that he might have not gotten the money. But the receiver's records, he thinks he has paid. And so these things, I always encourage people to exercise some restraint. Let us continue to look at the processes. And I continue to also implore CBG, that is the bank responsible for these things, to look at how they can help customers calm nerves, so that anyone who is facing any challenge in accessing his funds, they will be able to help them. Those that genuinely they've not gotten any records on them, I'm sure the receiver will be able to deal with any issue.
Okay. On Tuesday, I think that's 13th October, if I have my date right, you had a program with your other SDI members or association members in the Bank of Ghana. And I think you called it BOG SDI Media Sensitization Workshop, a joint presentation by the SDIs. Can you give us in one to three lines what exactly this program was about before we delve into the flesh of it, and what did you seek to achieve?
Okay, so after the cleanup, we monitored the media space and realized that some of the media personalities, with all apologies, they do not really understand the issues.
Okay.
And also, the public need the media to also tell them the story or the issues, help their issues resolved. And so, the central bank and the association and the companies also saw that there is the need for us to collaborate to also build the capacity of the media, bring the issues better to the media for the media to understand the industry, so that the media can now help the public with information dissemination. Okay. And so that was the rationale behind it, so that the media will be well abreast with the issues and they will know even the categories of the SDIs, as you rightly explained. Even the SDI space, there are different categories in there. So that when an institution is a savings and loans company and a microfinance company or a finance company, what are the differences? And the products they are permitted to do, what they are not permitted to do. So we did all these things at the program. Okay, so we have a video of the Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana again, speaking about the role of the media at this very program Tweneboah Kodua is talking about. Let's take that video and continue the conversation.
And it's important that the media, when they engage in discussions of related to the financial sector, they do so with a good understanding of the regulatory environment as well as the policy environment within which the financial sector operates. It is important that the media leads the public discourse in a dispassionate and expert manner. And I'm really making this a personal plea to you to rise up to that occasion. We have heard too often headlines such as Bank of Ghana has collapsed companies. Bank of Ghana never collapses anything. We don't. We license, we supervise, and then when the institution has failed, we take it out of the system in a manner that does not affect the rest of the system. So do not say Bank of Ghana has collapsed anything. Bank of Ghana does not collapse anything. These institutions are run and managed and governed by their shareholders who put there a board of directors and a team of management to run it. They collapsed it, and it is not us who collapsed it. Too often you hear, when we talk about how depositors of SDIs and banks have been paid in full, we hear people say, oh, but the customers of Gold Coast are complaining. Gold Coast and others like them are licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission. They are capital market operators, fund managers licensed to take your money and invest in equity or debt instruments. That is extremely and very much distinct from what banks and SDIs are licensed by the Bank of Ghana to do. So the public may be confused, and we continue to try to educate the public, but we expect the media to be at the...
So that was Madam Elsie Ado-Awagye, Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana. And I want to quote an excerpt from her speech. And it says, "We need the media to be a real partner that understands the financial sector and the regulatory framework within which it operates in order to lead the public discourse in a dispassionate and expert manner." Now, TK, in your estimation as the Executive Secretary of the Association for Savings and Loans, how would you rate the work of the media, particularly with regards to issues concerning your sector? You may broaden it to the financial sector since you are all in your space, and what happens in one part has concomitant effects for your part. But how would you rate the work of the media before I start delving into some of the other questions I have?
Okay, if you look at the work of the media, which is very critical and very sensitive, especially when it comes to money issues, you realize that some of you, your colleagues, are doing well. Others need to also improve on their level of appreciation of the issues. And so these are some of the things going forward we will need to look at. Just as the Second Deputy Governor mentioned that some of the utterances. Not long ago, I went to a certain station and somebody said, "Hey, do you savings and loans people?" And then so I said, what is the issue? And this person mentioned a name of a company. And that name of the company was a microfinance company. Okay. And so there's also some kind of
lack of
knowledge gap that we need to fill. But we do not begrudge them. And so we think that because it's a mutual kind of relationship, symbiotic kind of relationship, let's build each other. Let's get closer to the media. The media, we think, will also be available to also learn. And the more we learn, the more we disseminate the right information. For instance, a customer complains that I went to this place and they say I can't take my money. Let's assume a customer complains this on radio. And then if you are the host and you really understand the issues, you will know what to do exactly. For instance, we have heard you. The producers or the other people might want to call the company behind to find out what the issues were before even escalating the discussions and those things. So these are some of the things, and I always match the role of the financial institutions like your bankers to your security man. Your bankers are the ones keeping your money. Your security man at home is the one keeping your property at home. Now, anytime you wake up at 11 p.m., you go around your house, you see your security man sleeping. 12, he wakes up. Will you go out and say to other people, as for me, my security man, he always sleep in the night at 11 p.m. Will you do that?
No, you won't.
You won't. Why? Yeah. Why? You want to be transparent. You want everybody to know what's happening because you are truthful. Why won't you tell the public that? you get it? So it means that if we are measured in what we say, bearing in mind the implications, the repercussions, mind you, not all truths are spoken in the public.
Okay. I got a copy of your presentation, and point 11, support needed from media to enhance confidence in the sector. And I want to read for our viewers and listeners just one point. And it says, contact financial institutions when clients lodge complaints with media houses, especially regarding delayed payments before publication or airing. TK, some may argue this infringes on the freedom that a media house possesses and which is enshrined in Chapter 5 of our Constitution. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression. But here you are telling them that they should contact you. Some of them may misconstrue it as an infringement on their freedom to publish or to report what is happening. How then are you going to more or less balance it? That's my question.
Okay. To every freedom, there is a responsibility.
Okay.
And so just as you have the freedom to tell the world that your security man sleeps at 11 p.m. each day, but you decide that, no, I will rather change my security man without even telling anybody. So we just have to make sure that whatever we are doing, we have the liberty, but let's look at repercussions of the use of our pen, our microphone. You know, from where we sit, we think that we really need the media.
Yeah.
We really need the media because how many financial institutions do we have in the country? But for you to even know that this particular institution has this kind of product that will be useful for me, you still need a media. And so we cannot progress as a nation without the media. However, if the media's capacity is not built to meet up with the challenges of the time or the needs of the times, then we may not be able to get the full benefits of the media. Okay. And that's why we think that there should be more collaboration, more engagement. And actually from the discussions we had, fortunately we had the president of GJA,
okay,
who actually was very happy that such a program came up. And the central bank is ready to even partner with the journalist fraternity to do more. We are actually going to even do another one in Kumasi.
Okay. But let me pick your brain on this. Do you think it's an important point that, you know, in a typical media house, issues like this will be covered by the business desk? When it becomes a very topical and national issue, it spreads beyond the business desk and it goes to the general news team because it seems to affect everybody. Now, do you think, in your estimation, that such media houses should start getting people who have studied these issues, maybe even on the undergrad level, to a fair amount, at least, who can appreciate some of these terminologies, some of these issues? Do you think the media house should start employing such people, or the financial sector should come in and train people? I know you've mentioned some collaborations, but where do you think is the right a bridge between these two worlds? Are we looking, should the media house play a role? What's your view on that?
Philip?
Very, very hard question for you.
Philip, you say, okay, so with this, each organization has a culture, and there are philosophies that they use to run their organizations. Some may want to use people with passion who are willing to learn. So in that direction, you may not necessarily have to study certain subjects before you are put in certain places. I did geodetic engineering.
Okay.
So I was trained an engineer.
But then here you are.
But here am I. You get it.
Yeah.
And so these are some of the things that we'll have to look at. But the ultimate aim is the person you have placed in that position, does the person have the passion to learn more? From where we sit, we know some of the media personalities who actually read the subject matter before they conduct interviews. And we know some who do not read anything, they just look at the script placed in front of them.
Okay.
And so we want to have a better society where people appreciate issues. For instance, if a producer of a program, say a financial sector issue, and the producer doesn't even understand that, okay, this is a savings and loan issue, or this is a microfinance company issue, so who do I call? or because I don't understand the difference between microfinance and savings and loans or commercial banks. And because TK is on radio, TV, and the issue is about bank customers, we call TK. That will not solve the problem or help address it. But the knowledge you may have will also help you to deliver.
Okay, so you have made the argument that the media is critical. There's a question I wanted to ask, but it may be too political. So I'll just leave it be. But I want us to move into another aspect of our conversation. And in your introduction, you mentioned how COVID-19 came to more or less take us off a path of recovery. We're coming from a path of recovery. Now, looking at the Deputy Governor's speech at your event, she made mention of very important figures. I may be wrong by saying it's from her speech. Either it's from your speech, from her speech, or from your document, which was made available at your program. But nonetheless, it was from that BOG SDI sensitization. Then it says the SNL sector, 5.7 billion in loans to a wide array of sectors. Am I right? Loan amount per customer between 1,000 to 20,000. My question here is, when the pandemic started, in the March MPC, the Bank of Ghana announced a number of measures for banks and SDIs. Do you think for the SNL sector, example, loan loss provisioning, reclassifications, liquidity ratio changes, etc., do you think they've been enough to address challenges in the SNL sector during this COVID-19 crisis? That's the first question.
Okay. Now, globally, we are aware that COVID-19 is not over. And if you measure it with what the governor of the central bank said in the last MPC meeting, he said that they will continue to monitor the space, where necessary, issue more policy directions, which should tell you that you cannot say what we have done is enough, so it's okay. But what we can say is that it is appropriate, the measures put in place. For instance, reducing the buffer for banks, the capital reserve buffer from 3% to 1.5%, reducing cash reserve ratios for banks, SDIs, managing or changing or modifying the profiling age, the loan profiling, and all those things are something that is key, because as part of managing the balance sheet, you may want to look at how is the profile in the provisioning like. Do I need to give some of my clients some relief? If the policy permits, then it encourages you to do that. Again, because of the cash reserve requirements, and to say you are permitted to have 8%, that 2% drop, you can continue to give more loans. And so we say they are appropriate, they are good. However, we think that we should continue to monitor the space, and where possible, come in with more policy measures. And especially, we think that if you look at the Bank of Ghana's Act as amended, and you look at Section 46A, it says the central bank shall, where necessary, the institutions need liquidity support, savings and loans and finance houses, central bank will support them. But the institutions will need to be solvent and have collateral. Now, the next thing is that all our institutions who are very solvent may not necessarily at COVID need temporary cash. But if you need cash for a longer term, then the law does not permit central bank to give you long-term funds. In that direction, what do? The law says Bank of Ghana can only do short-term. And therefore, We have even written to the central bank as our father, that our father should speak to our grandfather. Who is our grandfather? Government.
Government.
That's the one in charge of fiscal policies and those things, so that if the government can have a long-term facility to support the SNLs or those SNL companies or the microfinance companies or finance houses, then that will help them to think long-term. The law says central bank should do short-term, but what we need now is long-term, of which I'm very sure we met the governors and they actually promised us that they were going to carry on that information to the ministry, so that if the ministry can take a look at it. I heard, I think yesterday or today, there was a launch of some 2 billion package.
Okay.
And we always say that if the government actually saw the need to help our customers, our customers are the ones who are benefiting from the NBSSI fund. It's our customers.
Okay.
Yes.
So
why? Because it's our customers who are giving 1,000 loans, 2,000, 5,000, 20,000.
The
banks will give businesses 50,000, 100,000, 200,000.
Yes.
But this fund is for those smaller units, and it's our clients. So if our clients are being supported, why not us?
And I think you are right with the data. The information I read at the beginning of this particular question I asked TK, the 5.7 billion in loans is for the entire SDI sector. But he's spot on with the loan amounts also. Even though it's 1,000 to 20,000, it's more or less a part of the SNL sector. So we'll be taking a quick break. When we come back, we will look at some other effects of COVID-19 on the sector and how they're going to weave their way out of this. This is Spotlight Business on MX24. My guest, Tweneboah Kodua Boakye, Executive Secretary of GHASALC. My name is Philip Nanfuri. We'll be right back.
Opinions are like onions. Everybody has one.
Abortion is a no-no. As a human being, you must take responsibility for all your actions and inactions. Your misjudgment shouldn't be enough grounds to take a life.
No. I disagree with you, because look, if you do not legalize it, people will go to black protest anyway, who might end up not just kill the baby, but the mother as well.
Why should I waste my time joining a long queue under the hot sun to vote for a political party, knowing very well that nothing would be achieved at the end of the day?
Something will be achieved. It's your civic responsibility to turn out to vote. Vote and vote for a good leader.
Governments need to cater to every graduate, diversify the economy, invest in other sectors.
But the government cannot do it all. That is why we need the youth to take up the mantle and set up their own businesses. That is how we will create economic viability.
Here on Opposing Views, we take your views, my views, and the views of the experts and put them in the right context for you, our discerning viewers.
No, this is not business as usual. This is a different kind of business. From the global stock market to our central bank to insights on insurance and investment, Spotlight is the show for you. Here, we look beyond the numbers. On Spotlight, we'll tell you the complexity behind the figures. On Spotlight, we examine hardcore financial issues. Join me, Philip Nanfuri, on MX24, together with policymakers and experts as we talk business. Right, you're welcome back from the break. This is MX24. My name is Philip Nanfuri. My guest, Tweneboah Kodua Boakye, Executive Secretary of Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies, GHASALC. A very long name there, but we have to try and mention it for you. TK, before we took our break, you were taking us through whether the Bank of Ghana's measures were satisfactory. And I think I gleaned from your answer that it was okay. I'm sure maybe down the line, if there are changes, Bank of Ghana will step up and act. But COVID-19 and its effect, again, I'm going to section 8 on your presentation, and you outlined a number of, I think 10 or so of COVID-19 and its effects. And the one that bothers me the most is a possible sharp increase in withdrawals. Do you think, have you experienced such, broadly speaking, and can it be mitigated? Are people taking the money out of fear from what has happened, or from this COVID-19 issue alone? What is the picture like with withdrawals and then deposits?
Okay. If you look at from the beginning of the pandemic to date, you realize that there's been a lot of changes within the market. And we place them in two baskets. You realize that it's taught us the lesson to operate with a lean and efficient staff.
Okay.
Where people had to, some institutions had to run with partial or skeletal staff.
Yeah.
And they were still delivering, which tells us that there's a need for us to be more efficient, and we've learned this thing from COVID. Again, COVID has taught us the lesson to deploy more technology. Now, some of our members who deploy technology in deposit mobilization, loan appraisal, disbursement and recovery, during the peak of the pandemic, there was a sharp increase in deposits for them.
Okay.
Those who were deploying loans and all those through technology, there were a lot of loans they were disbursing on a daily basis. So it tells us that the use of technology is the way forward. Again, it's taught us that if your client knows your institution very well, whenever you are in difficulty, they will be there to support you.
Yeah.
And so we saw that some of our clients were not able to pay their loans for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And I told you that our clients are the petty traders, the market women, the trotro driver, the small businesses and all those. And during the lockdown, which people were affected?
Them.
Those people.
Yeah.
Those working in factories, big places, were not locked down. And so our clients were actually affected. And so they could not come and deposit. They could not repay their loans. And some of our people have to reschedule their loans for them. Now, as we reschedule the loan, the Act 930 says that a financial institution, that's the SDI or our institutions, should not accrue loan that is not performing.
Okay.
So if the customer is not paying, don't say you have earned the revenue.
Yeah.
And which is very prudent. And so customers are not paying because of COVID. And so what has happened to our revenue? There's a drop in revenue. However, your deposit with me, should I accrue interest on it?
I think that would be yes.
Yes.
That would be a yes.
Exactly. And so deposits that are with us, that are earning interest, it is an expenditure to us. Mm-hmm. And those expenditure were still going up while revenue is going down.
Yeah.
Again, did we stop paying rent?
No.
Did we stop paying salaries and those people?
I don't think so.
Did you hear our people laying off? No. And so operational expenses was at the same rate, revenue was going down. So these are some of the effects that we have seen in the space. But I am happy to say that most of our members, had the strategy to deal with the issue.
Okay.
And you'll hear that some of our members are even now advertising more for people to come for loans.
I have heard quite a couple on the airwaves.
Exactly. So it tells us that with the right strategy put in place and the right support, I mentioned about the support that is needed for the whole sector, both regulatory, policy, government, and all that. And of course, customers with the right support, said that if you are able to recover in some way from this COVID as a customer, start paying your loans. There are some of the customers that they are working all right, getting some small money, but they've stopped paying their loans outright. But we encourage them that once your situation have changed, don't sit down, go to your financial institution, explain your issues to them. And then when your situation improves more, let it show.
Okay. I want us to move into another part of the conversation where we look at regulatory issues, governance, conduct issues, etc. I want to start off from this point, TK. And I want you to be very honest with us. Prior to this revocation of the licenses of some of your members and the broader financial institutions, I want to put my tab down for this. Your association or your members are supposed to serve a certain niche of the market. Now, in the Deputy Governor's speech, she made mention that most of you had strayed away from what you were supposed to do. And I know there were stories of some of you giving loans to contractors and stuff like that. Your capacity as a financial institution, even your minimum capital requirement, 15 million, cannot support these transactions you were doing. Bank of Ghana is telling people that stay on your mandate, the missing middle. Deal with that niche of the market. Going forward, can we have a guarantee that your members will not go and engage in these activities anymore of dealing with these customers as we are all trying to survive the waters? They're not going to deal with customers that are beyond their mandates in the S&L sector. Can we have that guarantee from you and your members?
I always prefer speaking to data.
Okay.
Let the data do the talking. Before the revocation, 2017 and 2018, I did an industry analysis. And about 2 of our members, the savings and loans companies, their average loan balance was 200,000.
Wow.
So when we saw it, so wow. Then we approached the institution, we approached the MD, and I told them, this is going to kill you because of the quantum of the values you are granting to individuals. Fast forward, in 2019, early part of 2019, they had to write off, the closing 2018, they had to write off these loans because 3 of them, of their customers, could not pay the loan. And they had to write off in essence about 6 million.
Million or billion?
Million.
Okay.
Now, savings alone, what's your... So 6 million is huge.
Yeah.
The other company that has about 200,000 loan balance, now they saw that it was going to kill them. Fortunately, these 2 companies I'm talking about did not, their licenses were not revoked. And so they survived the cleanup. When I did the analysis for 2019, the one that had 200,000 as average loan balance, the loans this company granted in 2019, the average loan balance was 8,000.
So it means that they have come down to where they're supposed to be.
And now, so the bottom line is, if nobody kills you, you will grow and die. So we have learnt the lesson the hard way.
Okay.
As I speak with you, out of the 25, 16 of the company's average loan balance is less than 10,000.
Which goes in line with what I read this morning about the data.
Exactly. About 10 of them, average loan balance is less than 5,000. So only about 9 that had average loan balance between 11,000 and 18,000.
Okay.
You get a drift. Now the one that had 200,000 their average loan balance is currently hovering around 50,000. So what is happening? It's coming down.
It's coming down.
So the lessons learned is very, very important.
Let me ask two things here. One, you mentioned industry reports. BOG does very well with the banking sector reports. Are there any indications that SNLs will also start getting their own reports for us to follow, like media to keep an eye on? And two, some people who go to the banks can't access the loans they need, and then they smuggle their way into the SNL sector. What's in place to ensure that somebody who has gone to the banking sector and comes to you guys, even not for a high loan, you guys will flag this, or it will be flagged and you reject it?
The bottom line is that the law is clear. When you look at the Credit Reporting Act and you tie it with the Borrowers and Lenders Act, it says that any financial institution that grants loan, before you grant a loan to anybody, you should check the person's credit records. And so print out, check the credit reference on the person.
Okay.
So if the person was rejected because he had a bad credit history that the bank rejected, this same person, it will be shown with us, and we too will reject.
Okay.
But if it is other reasons may be, because how we operate with the day-to-day people. We understand 20 Ghana cedi deposits. We understand.
Okay.
Another institution may not appreciate that. And so you will go there, it will be declined. It will come here based on our risk level, our processes, and that is why they prefer coming to us. And mind you, granting a loan to a contractor is not a breach of any regulation. However, it depends on the quantum to your size.
Okay.
I can swallow any fufu, but depending on the size of my throat, that the fufu I have cut to swallow, they will say, hey. And so we are always encouraging our members to take on risk exposures that are within their
limits. Yes. So play according to your size, and then don't punch above your weight. And with the reports of your sector, are you getting an indication that BOG will start a separate publication for the SNL sector, or your industry or your association will start publishing its own reports?
With data, I think Bank of Ghana has started doing a lot of things.
Okay.
And I'm happy the level of openness in data, information dissemination. They are attending to our programs, sharing useful information and all these things. The speech that you are referring to, I'm sure you go to the Central Bank's website today to be there.
It will be there, yeah.
Which has data on us.
Awesome. Okay.
Again, if you go to the GHASALC website, you also find data on our members. And you see, data is not built overnight. And we've started building the data as we speak. I'm not sure if you have seen our newsletter we published, the GHASALC Watch. We also have information on all our members, and in that one.
We'll be showing our viewers something the Savings and Loans Association has put together towards the end of our show. But TK, let me jump into another area that is of interest: minimum capital requirements. We saw the banking sector have theirs increased from 120 to 400 million. Now, I was going through State of the Financial Sector reports put together by the Ministry of Finance, and then I think GIZ, the German corporation, or forgive me if I can't pronounce the words in German. But data showed me that savings and loans started as far back as 1994, with the first one being the Women's World Banking. Then it went to City Savings, and then which metamorphosed to Intercontinental Bank, then later merged with Access Bank. Then Cantonment to Savings and Loans, which became UniCredit. Now, capital requirements were as follows. In 1995, it was 10,000 Ghana cedis. In 98, it became 50,000 Ghana cedis. In 2000, it became 100,000 Ghana cedis. 2001, it went up to 150,000. Then in 2014, I think it went up from 7 million to the current 15 million. TK, are we getting any indication that it's going to go up further in the coming years?
Fortunately, I'm not the regulator.
But then maybe you've just had some meetings, you can tell us something.
Fortunately, I'm not the regulator. So I'm sure the regulators will be able to speak to it. But whenever...
But then do you think your association requires a change in minimum capital requirement?
It's not the association. It's about what the regulators see, where do they want the industry to be, and this conversation, we know, will not be done by the regulators alone.
Okay.
We know that the regulators have given us the indication that they will have this kind of conversation with the institutions, okay, i.e. the shareholders and the directors, to look at the future of the industry. And we are actually waiting for this. Fortunately, we don't have any doubt that there will be any surprises.
Yeah.
We do not have any doubt at all. We are very confident that the posture of this kind of regulators, as they said they will engage where necessary with the industry.
They have engaged?
They will engage with us when they decide to. But for now, there is no engagement. So let's put it down for the meantime and ensure that the institutions, and of course, you know that a lot of our members have had the need to increase their own capital because of what they want to do.
Yeah.
And some are also doing very well. Good balance sheets, good business with the 15 million. And so let's leave it for that conversation. We know when it gets there, the regulator who knows the right thing to do, they will do what is right.
And also with regards to the Act 930, which regulates your institutions, do you think there will be changes? Should there be changes to more or less suit or tailor certain things? Or if no changes to the law, then perhaps maybe a regulation concerning you guys? Do you think there are any things in the works?
As it stands now, players within the space see the need for certain provisions in Act 930 to be looked at.
Okay.
And so we think that when that process starts, we will all see those areas that need reviews.
And there's an issue that always comes up, and one of our viewers asked me to ask this of you. The numbers, almost 40 at first, then clean up, then now we're 25. Should there ever be a regulation on the number of institutions in the SNL sector, or you think it's something that more or less moves with the demand and supply within the space you serve?
Okay. If you look at one state in the United States, US, a state that is like Ghana, the number of savings and loans there is about 10 times what you have in Ghana. Have they complained?
No.
So it is not about the number of institutions, but I think it's about the efficiency, the distribution, and the purpose for these institutions set up. For instance, sometimes some people say, we have so many microfinance companies, so many. Don't we need a microfinance in each district of the country? Don't you think it's necessary?
Perhaps.
Perhaps. But how many districts do we have? 270 something, but we have 137 microfinance. So if you go to the northern part of the country, most of the places do not have even a rural bank. For you to even come to a microfinance, for you to even say savings and loans, to even say a bank. What are those people? Don't they need financial services?
Yeah.
So if somebody comes and says that I will want a license to go and operate those places, won't the regulator look at it? They will. We are sitting in Accra and Kumasi, and we see every street, a microfinance or a savings and loans, and we think they are many. We are nowhere near the market demand. We think there is an issue with the supply side.
Yeah.
We are not meeting the demand at all. Not meeting the demand. So we will, as we speak, the industry savings and loans operators are looking at our business model and how we can tweak our system to be more efficient so we can reach out to a lot of places with less costs, with synergy, collaborations, and of course regulations will play a role in all these things.
And I think it's been well documented in your presentation. You spoke about you speak about compliance to regulatory directives.
Exactly.
I'm sure now your members would be towing the line properly given what has gone on. Corporate governance certification. I want you to talk to me about that. I saw that you highlighted that on your website when I perused it this morning. You cut out an interview from another media house. Speak to us about the necessity of that.
You see, 2018, the central bank issued out corporate governance directive, which required that directors of all regulated institutions should go through certification. Now, since that time, the directors of all the savings and loans companies have been complying. Last year, we did it. This year, the directors have started going through that certification to build your capacity to confirm and affirm that you appreciate the issues as a director, so that when there's a credit request or any decision that comes, you are on top. Today, 3 companies actually did their certification, and I happen to open that program in today. So it's today and tomorrow that they are doing this program, and so it's a very crucial certification program. And it is to also tell the public that the interest of depositors is of prime importance to us, to ensure that the directors do their work as directors.
Okay. Can I be a director? Me?
Provided you qualify under the fit and proper test directive.
But then, looking at me, do you think I would
we don't look at the face to determine the directorship.
Okay, so earlier on we spoke about, Mr. Tweneboah Kodua spoke about their website, and this is not an advertisement. This is a free copy, and if you go to their website, you will find a lot of issues on the savings and loans sector. It's for your information. I spoke about this the last time the first deputy governor was here, that peruse their websites and get information. They are working on how to reach people who don't have access to the internet or can't understand the lingua franca we use, as English. And remember, the SEC boss also spoke about it. But this is a free copy he's given to us. It contains a lot of info and facts about the savings and loan sector. If you go to their website, you'll be able to find the soft copy. So if you just type in Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies, it will pop up. You can click it and go, and then you get more information. A lot of things are inside. There's a speech from the second deputy governor.
An interview, actually.
An interview, very good. A lot of things concerning the SNL sector, and we are more keen, or we're more in tune with the banks, but delve into the SNL sector. This is it. It's on their website, Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies. TK, we have about a minute to go on this show. Give us your closing remarks, and then what you want your customers and everybody else to focus on in the financial sector.
We want to continue to express our appreciation to the public. During the cleanup exercise, we had a number of engagements, and still we have about 6 million people doing business with us, which shows that they still have confidence with us. Don't stop. Continue doing business with your preferred savings and loans. When they do wrong, approach them. When they fail to resolve your issue, report to Bank of Ghana. Bank of Ghana has a dedicated unit to address all issues. Even if you want us to know, go to our website. There is a portal for you to put your complaints. When it gets to us, we will take it up for you.
Okay, so Tweneboah Kodua, Boakye, Executive Secretary of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies. We've been discussing a plethora of issues, the future of the industry, where we are heading, where we've come from since 16th August 2019. It's been more than a year. We've experienced a lot of changes in the savings and loan sector. Like I said at the beginning, savings and loans form part of the specialized deposit-taking institutions, which are regulated under the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions Act. SDIs are for the savings and loans, the finance houses, the rural and community banks, and the microfinance institutions. Anything else that you hear is either a bank or comes below them and are regulated by the Non-Bank Financial Institutions Act. That's another act under the Bank of Ghana. So the financial sector is broad, and I always pray that we follow. It's not very difficult. It's nothing hard. Once upon a time, I didn't know anything, zero, empty head about these things. Over time, I've been able to build and learn. So I entreat you also to do the same. Access the websites of the Bank of Ghana, the different regulators, get the information, read, and follow MX24GH on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Follow all our posts, like them, share them. We'll be pumping out a lot of information out there. I want to say a very big thank you for your company. My name again, Philip Nanfuri. My guest, Tweneboah Kodua, Executive Secretary, Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies. Do have yourself a good night, and I'll see you next week, God willing.